My name is Rachel, and I'm a business advisor with the Small Business Development Center. We are a program funded by the SBA, so all of our business consulting we offer to our clients at no cost to you, whether it's an initial consultation or it's ongoing coaching and helping mentor you through your business growth. We offer a lot of different things, whether it's helping you actually form your business, like the legal formation part, or if you're interested, good morning, or if you're interested in funding, right, or grant opportunities. There are a lot of documents and requirements when you get to that stage, and so we help you, whether it's putting together a business plan, or if you're pitching to investors, we also help walk you through and help review your pitch decks and such. But today we're going to be talking about what next, right? You have a product, you're close to finishing developing your product. How do I get it out in the marketplace? You can talk one-on-one to people, you can present things, good morning. You can present things with Tech Alley, to other industry and networking groups, but really what are some practical things that we can do to get our product out there, and to even be known for and be attached and aligned with our product. So today we're going to talk about different marketing strategies, and we have a couple of guest speakers, and I will introduce them in just a little bit, but I did want to cover a little bit of what the SBDC provides. That's me, and that's my contact information. So Nevada SBDC is part of a national organization funded by the SBA. We promote economic development across the state by providing confidential business advising and training at no cost to you, ever. Your first call to grow your business with ongoing coaching to help you at every stage of growth. So about me, I said I was a business advisor. I'm also founder of a company called Autry, which is a talent marketplace platform for the arts and entertainment industry. So I understand firsthand what it takes and where the challenges are and what our focuses need to be, right? The product is live and it's out there, and how do you create engagement, user engagement, and so a lot of that falls under marketing. I was also an owner of an executive search firm, did that for about 15 years, agency owner, and then I'm an HR and staffing consultant and corporate recruiter. So that's one of the things that I provide. With SBDC, every advisor has a different specialty, and so that tends to be my specialty. What happens as a company when you're looking to hire your first employee, right? What are some of the HR compliance issues that you now need to be aware of? So we're going to look at the 4 stages of technology life cycle. So what stage of development are you at? Innovation, right? You're now investing time, money, and resources in R&D. I have a lot of clients that come to me, Rachel, I have a great idea. Now I need to find funding so I can create an MVP. Or how do I scale this? Okay, ascent, initial launch and early revenue. How to lead with your unique value proposition. Maturity, now you're a player in the market, you're looking at your competition, you need to look at new product offerings. And then decline, the product starts to become obsolete. So again, the challenge, what are you going to do to stay competitive? So how do you take your new innovative idea and turn it into a business? Again, we help with all of those different stages. We also have interns available through UNLV, and that's partnering with the College of Engineering and with Lee Business School. So if you're at a stage where, like, I need data validation, I need a prototype, I need somebody to do a pitch deck or to create my website, a landing page. I don't have time for it, I don't have the resources. Those are areas that we can help you with. And that's it for me. We have a lot to cover today. So from a branding perspective, we have Karma over there. Then for content creation and podcasting for the tech industry, we have Sunshine and Chris. Where's Chris? Oh, of course, my tech guy.
Rachel just gave us the full reins, but hey everyone, good morning. How's everyone doing? Good. Thank you guys for being here. We're so excited. I just want to say real quick plug for SBDC, what Rachel was just talking about. SBDC, for those who have not been a client of theirs and utilize their advising services, highly recommend. There's so much that goes into like the paperwork and everything you need to know about business. And Rachel and everyone at the SBDC is amazing, and Karma as well. So highly recommend that everyone takes advantage of that. We're just gonna go ahead and get plugged in real quick, but my name is Sunshine. Yes, that is my real name. That is the #1 question I get. No, my parents are not hippies, but they are Filipinos, so it is very common to be naming us with some very colorful names. And then over here we have one of my business partners, Chris. Want to give yourself a quick intro?
Yeah, I'm Chris. I've been in the production space for many years. I think when YouTube first started, and I got interested in it more and more, and just been kind of going all in on that. Been doing anything from interview-based content, food videos, podcast, which brings us here today. So lots of fun stuff. So of course at the end we'll have a Q&A on any questions you have tech related to video, podcasting, and all that stuff.
Let me ask, how many here already have a business? Have already formed a business? How many here have an idea, have a concept, an idea, new innovation? And for those that already have a business, how many are at the stage where they're looking for marketing strategy? What do we do? What's the next level, right? Even if you're not there, you need to kind of backtrack, and it should be part of a lot of your initial planning. Oftentimes we don't think about it, but once you're out there, people, right, the brand recognition piece, how are people going to recognize who you are, what you do, what you're offering? And so those are all part of this whole marketing strategy. I'll go ahead and cover some of the other SBDC resources that we have through UNLV. I know I kind of glossed over it. I know there's a lot to cover, but I mentioned our internship program. We do have something called Step Up Startup, and that is in partnership with our College of Engineering, and so that's mechanical engineering, chemical, computer science. So anything that you might have, if you came in on our one-to-one session, you're like, Rachel, this is how far I've taken it, and I need this so that I can take it to this. And we try to help fill in those gaps for you. Our goal is really to help give you clarity in what you're doing, what you're pursuing, what you're trying to accomplish, and let's help you get that clarity to figure out what we need to do to give you those resources. And sometimes it's us helping you put together that business plan so that it's clear for you. And sometimes it's creating that external, presentation, pitch deck, marketing deck. Maybe it's getting you in touch with our lending partners, right? There are a lot of banking partners that we have that focus on startup funding, and some are micro loans, some are traditional business loans. We have CDFI, more non-traditional lending. And so we have a lot of resources in that way. We also have through UNLV a department called Makerspace. And has everybody here been to the Blackfire building, Blackfire location? Beautiful building right next to, like across the street from IKEA. It's a UNLV building, and we have it's our innovation tech hub. We have robotics, we have a gaming area, we have a working hospitality lab there. And if anybody is interested in having a tour, just reach out to me. We love to introduce that to our community. It's a very exciting space, beautiful, it's a donated property, with beautiful floor-to-ceiling views of the city, so it's really beautiful. But just really quickly, in that location, that's on the 4th floor, our office, SBDC office. On the 3rd floor, we do have our makerspace, where they can do graphic design for you if you need marketing materials, if you need large format posters, if you need 3D prototype, those are things that we can accommodate there. And as an SBDC client, it's heavily discounted. So.
Cool. Well, oh my gosh, thank you guys so much for your patience here at Tech Alley while we figured out our tech. It wouldn't be a Tech Alley presentation without some tech problems, but we're here. So we'll go through this really quickly because we also want to be able to have time for the rest of this amazing session and everybody's questions. But basically, who here is an avid podcast listener? Anybody listen to podcasts daily, weekly, on the regular? Cool, that's really great news because you are not alone. It's actually such a growing industry. And today we want to talk about how you can start video podcasting at any stage of your startup, even pre-MVP, and we'll raise you one even bigger even before you have a product idea. So here are some common challenges when it comes to early stage startups, when it comes to marketing, branding. One huge thing, and feel free to raise your hand or give snaps if you can relate to any of these. That way everyone knows they're not alone. Because let's be real, startups in the early stages are definitely a time. First one is bootstrapping. When you're assembling your team, you're DIYing everything before you get capital, before you get fundraising. That means limited resources for marketing, and I'm willing to bet that if you're in the tech space, you are working on your product and you are not a marketer. It's very possible that you are, but that's where a lot of your focus and attention and resources are going to. Brand awareness can also get really tricky for startups that aren't investing in their marketing from the get-go, because again, a lot of those resources are going towards the conception and the product development. And then third slide, or for this third thing, Chris, if you want to go over just this little third point right here. As everyone knows, may or may not know, organic content is so powerful when it comes to building brand awareness and getting visibility on your business. But a lot of people, especially small business owners who aren't in that space, there's a lot of hesitation, a lot of resistance to putting out content because they are scared that they might fail the content. But Chris, what do you say when it comes to content?
Well, technically, as you guys got to see, it's probably very corny, but you honestly do fail, especially in the podcast space, at 100% of things that you don't try, right? And I just say that from confidence because there's many people who are like, I'm going to do it. How many people want to do something in 2020 and then didn't do it, and then 4 years later, like, oh my gosh, I would have literally been I would have been so much further 4 years and do it, even if you do one episode a week, whatever it is, or one thing a week, you get better at Spanish once a week. So, if you don't try it, you don't get past that part.
Yeah, so there's a saying that also says something that's been sticking with me for a while, but it's like if you don't act on your idea, it's going to go to somebody else. And I'm sure we've all experienced that where it's like, someone's doing, I thought of that years ago. So when it comes to any form of content creation, putting yourself out there, just think of it that way. The time is going to pass anyway. Some really interesting stats. Actually, these were very surprising for me as well. I've been in the content space for over 10 years, or just about 10 years, and so has Chris. But when it comes to podcast consumption, YouTube is actually the top platform for podcast consumption, with 28% of weekly podcast listeners using it most frequently. This is actually a reversal from 5 years ago when Apple Podcast was the dominant platform for podcast discovery. So what does that tell you? People are actually watching their podcasts. I know a lot of us probably listen to it while we're doing things, me included, which is why this stat was so surprising. And then nearly a third of weekly podcast consumers who started listening in the last 6 months began on YouTube, especially among newer listeners. So YouTube is a really huge search and discovery tool, which Chris will go over a little bit more later in. But to that point, podcasts with videos, especially podcasts with hosts on camera, perform better than the podcast that you just upload with the logo, with your podcast logo, which is a static visual. That is also a very common practice just to get it out there. But typically, the ones that have the host actually interacting on camera perform much better. It's much better engagement. And that's just going to help your search and discovery as well. A couple of other interesting stats here is, the number of listeners in the podcast industry has actually almost more than doubled since 2019. 2024, where we're at right now, you're looking at about 504.9 million people in the market, and that's only going to continue to grow. So, Chris talked about, what if I started in 2020, or maybe it's too saturated. Everybody and their mom is trying to start a podcast right now, so I don't want to start a podcast because everybody's doing it. Well, the good news is this industry is only going to keep growing. As you can see, by 2030, it's predicted to go into almost the 100 millions range. Seed with this sort of intro talk to video podcasting is you don't need to wait till you have a product or even get to your MVP to start building your brand. And you're going to hear more from Karma about like marketing and branding, but a lot of times, you know, people wait until they have something to advertise before they start brand building, when it couldn't be further from the truth with that. You know, that's not the way it needs to be. You don't even have to have something that you're selling or something that you have developed already, because if you take anything away from this, just remember, if you're going in front to represent your brand, you are a brand. You are your brand. You are an extension of the brand. You can see that in examples of thought leadership, like Reid Hoffman, founder of LinkedIn, really popular thought leader. Steve Jobs, you know, he didn't have a podcast, but he was on stages, and he was still like really such a leader when it came to thought leadership, sharing expertise, shaping industry conversations, predicting trends. And then another thing that video podcasting can do for you as well is help put a face to the CEO, put a face to the name, and build your personal brand along with it. So no matter what product or business you end up starting, you are your brand. You know, your products can fail, but if you have continued to share your industry insights and have these organic conversations, shape those industry conversations, you can even build your own credibility, attract opportunities, and establish your unique identity in the market. So even amongst your competitors, they can try to copy everything that you do, but they're not going to be you, right? So this is like a typical, obviously everyone's stages in their startups follow different timelines, but let's say that this is just kind of like one of the typical things, right? So you have your idea, you're ideating, and then you take some time to develop your MVP, then you go through your launch and feedback round, and then that's typically when the investments start to happen in marketing and branding, fundraising, pitching. These cycles can kind of go on forever depending on your startup, and then you're moving into scaling and growth, right, as a result of these things. But what if I told you that you could start right here? You don't have to wait till you have the marketing and branding and going through your fundraising and pitching rounds. You can just start having the conversations that you're having at lunch hour, during your networking hour, and Chris will talk a little bit more about that too. Start having those conversations on camera. Start doing it with intention. Start thinking about, you know, who's your target audience? Who are the target market that you want to reach in these conversations that could potentially help when you grow your own built-in audience and then you launch your product or your business? You're aligning with the people that believe in you, that will in turn believe in what you're doing and like the byproducts of what you're doing. I'm a content strategist, so this is kind of like where this side is coming from, but you want to have at least an idea when you start strategically of your topics, your expertise, and the types of guests you want. You know, target ideal audience, you can kind of mirror that to your target markets, mirror that with your startup target markets. And then SEO is a huge one, which I will now throw over to Chris, who is a YouTube expert. He's worked with a lot of top YouTubers over the past year, so he is a pro in this field, so take it away.
Yeah, I mean, thank you, and please let me know when like my time is getting close, like just put up a hand or something so I could run through this. But as I mentioned before, I'm Chris, and I guess you could say YouTube expert. I just know a lot about YouTube and a lot about SEO. When it comes to YouTube, I'm pretty sure everyone here knows what SEO is. I speak that language, you know what I mean? Like, I love it because it's part of the process of like, you know, where I've gotten here. So why YouTube? Why take your podcast, your new video podcast that you guys are going to start today, right? You guys are going to take that video podcast and you're going to put it on YouTube, but why? Because there's Spotify, there's Apple Music, there's every other platform, iHeartRadio, whatever it is. Why YouTube? Well, that's, you know, basically the reason why is it's a much faster growth process. You guys already know that Google is the #1 search engine in the entire world, right? Following YouTube, or underneath is YouTube, which is #2. But obviously, Google owns this one, and this one also gets brought up when you search something here. So they kind of tie together, and they're super cool. But it's easier now more than ever, you know, because when you start a Apple podcast or a Spotify podcast, how are you getting your viewership? You post a topic about, hey guys, Tesla burned down again, you know, or hey, you know, Elon Musk did this today. No one's really looking for that, because when you're on Spotify or Apple, you're just going to what's either suggested or what you already know, which is Joe Rogan, Lex Friedman, whoever else out there, Theo Vaughn, some comedians, right? But the best part about YouTube is it's a search engine. So if you're talking about why the Cybertruck is ugly as F, you know, you put that in, you put some keywords in there, you knock it up, your 2 views on Spotify, which are probably yourself twice, is gonna potentially reach hundreds, if not thousands of people on your very first episode. So it's easier now more than ever to start a podcast with confidence. Let me just look at some notes here. Pretty much, yeah, it's a huge advantage for newcomers, people who know nothing about podcasting or even whatever, but what you do know is your craft. I could ask you guys all questions about your profession. You don't gotta go and do some research. You just give me an answer with some good vibes, and I'm just like, wow, that's super cool. You know what I mean? Like we're gonna have a conversation around how this is coded to this, or how this product can help this, and I'm new to listening to it, so it's even cooler. All right, so SEO, I'm not gonna like break down because it's different for everything, but generally when you wanna start a video podcast, this is the full method right here. If you guys wanna like make it in just the YouTube space of video podcasts or content creation, you think of your topic, then you create the value. The value now of that topic is giving YouTube and yourself some information, as in like, where's the algorithm, where's everything being pushed to? Then you create your audience, they get engaged, they like it, then they subscribe, and then you redo it. That's the method. If you want to make it on YouTube or a platform like that, that's it right there. That's the cheat sheet. It seems very simple, but that's as simple as it gets. That's all you have to do. Yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to make sure I run through this in time.
Okay.
So the biggest thing I really wanted to go over that I probably don't need too many notes for is time. Like, how many of you want to save time when it comes to stuff? Or who even has time? Who has 10 hours a day to create content?
Okay, go ahead.
Very good.
Have services?
That's very good. Now, how many videos have you filmed? How many videos have you filmed?
Filmed? I mean,
And edited and posted?
edited? Okay, I can check right now.
No. It's an estimate.
Actually, I think it's 17, I believe.
Go
Boom,
ahead.
you got 10 hours a day and you got 17 videos?
Yeah.
Cool.
What's your channel? Plug it.
Lamu MMA.
Nice, so you talk about MMA stuff?
Yeah.
Nice, cool, perfect. So, this is where it's gonna get interesting. Because I've been in the content space for a while. I do a lot of videos, right? I've been doing it for 12 years probably now. It takes me at least an hour to write out a script. Let's say I'm doing a food video, right? That's my big background, is doing food. You know, the delicious ooey gooey gravy on like some chicken or something, or maybe like a spaghetti pasta, whatever. It takes me an hour to write out a script, right? And then you gotta storyboard it. That might take another hour or two. Then we gotta get the filming your video. I don't know if you guys know much about filming, but when you make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, it's like 30 seconds. When you film it, it's about an hour and a half. That's how it is. So that's about maybe 2 to 4 hours right there. Then who knows how to edit very fast, very good within like an hour? Not many people. It could take like 3 hours, 4 hours, re-edit. So that's the content creation process. Everyone does this who makes content. But you go to the next slide, you cut out all this and you're doing everything within an hour when you create a video podcast. And there's probably much more information and it's a lot cooler to do. Because let's say you want to talk about the spaghetti that you're trying to mimic from Jollibee or something, right?
Jollibee.
You take 10 minutes to like write out your points. When you have a video podcast, you write out points. You want to know why? Because you save time of thinking of questions later on. You think of 6 questions, those 6 questions turn to 6 clips. Those 6 clips are within that 1 hour of talking. So you're taking that 10 minutes to 1 hour. So if you have a 10-hour day, right? You could technically do 17 videos in one, or 10 videos in one day. Technically speaking, right? But obviously no one wants to film 10 podcasts in a day. That's kind of draining. I don't even like doing one, you know?
I was thinking about actually doing a whole bunch of, like, because like, I have a whole bunch of people that are like interested in featuring artists. I was thinking about like having a week where I just interview a whole bunch of people, and for like the next 2 weeks I just edit all of them.
For sure.
Batch creating.
You could definitely do that. That's possible.
Super smart.
But with this part here, you know, and we'll definitely do a Q&A soon. Just real fast, I'm sorry. So the whole point of this thing is we want you to save time. A lot of us don't have enough time, and we can't even buy time. There's not like a time calculator. We're like, hey guys, 10 minutes today. It's not with the Justin Timberlake movie where they like limitless or whatever it is, or timeless, something like that. I forget. Anyways, but you can't buy time. What we can do is save your time.
Hey.
You can save your time.
Oh.
Cool. Is that it?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, so we want to wrap up here to make sure that we're good on time with the rest
Q&A,
of the
all that stuff, yeah.
If you wanted to connect with either of us, my name is Sunshine. These are our Instagrams if you wanted to stay connected. I own a content studio that I just opened last year, and Chris has been helping me with it as well. We have services that we will talk about in just a minute. Could we save your question in just like 90 seconds? Because we want to have time for Q&A, but we'll come back to you. And then we just wanted to quickly share that for anybody who is really interested in starting a video podcast, they want to save time, they don't want to go through the hassle of learning how to produce, edit, whatever, and you want guidance, strategic guidance, we are actually launching a video podcast service at the studio where we make it done for you. You walk in, come out, get your full edited episode, and what's the turnaround, Chris?
3 seconds.
Okay,
I gotta unplug it, and then I gotta
under promise, over deliver. 24 hours,
okay,
same
24
day.
seconds.
When you walk out the
24
door,
seconds.
You'll get. So if anybody is interested in either, working with us, potentially working with us, or you just want to connect, get on a call, you have some questions, feel free to scan that QR code right there, and then we are actually in honor or like in celebration of launching our service on September 17th. We are also doing a more hands-on, in-depth intro to video podcasting at the studio, and that QR code will take you to the Eventbrite page. So we'll leave this up here, and then Rachel, do we have any time for questions?
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think I saw his first, and then we'll go him, and then around.
Can you back up your contact info QR?
Oh, contact info?
Yeah.
Yeah. And let me know if you guys want me to go back to any slides. We'll go back to them. But yeah, questions. So you were
Whoever, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're in an era of short form content, TikTok, there's very, short attention spans, and I'm thinking, on, a timeline of duration, you have 10-minute, 15-minute podcasts, and then you have Nell and Joe Rogan, which might be 2 hours.
Yeah.
Is there a sweet spot in the industry of 30 minutes, and usually that's the peak, or is there for timeline?
Yeah, for sure. Do you want me to take it, or you?
We can both.
Yeah,
so it varies. It averages. There are very successful podcasts out there with an average duration of 20 minutes, but then there's people like Tim Ferriss who has 3-hour podcasts, So that really depends on the relationship that you build with your audience, and I guess the quality of the conversations that you're having. That's where you can really, then Chris can talk about this too, really take a dive at your analytics, be looking at what your average watch time is, compare some data, and then where the drop off is. And the thing, in order to get that though, you do have to start putting stuff out and just throwing things out there so you can acquire that data to inform how you want to go about your future episodes.
It's mainly too just how long does that video have to be, right? People don't just film for 3 hours because they want to make a 3-hour podcast, and when they do, that's when they start to fail, because now you're trying to fill gaps that don't need to be filled. So when you're doing a video podcast on said topic with said person, that's why you do your 10-minute point right out, and that's the base of it. And if it goes longer than that, it could be 30, 40 minutes, right? A podcast doesn't have to be a specific time frame. It could be as short as it needs to be, which can be that 20 to 30 minutes, or it could be 3 to 5 hours. If you're trying to be like Joe Rogan, you just have hella questions around what's going on, right? It's very possible, but there's no sweet spot. It's just how long does the video have to be? Don't over talk the how to make ice cream, and then you're talking for how to make it for so long. It's okay, I'm bored. Let's move on. So yeah. No problem.
Sir, did you have a question earlier?
I figured it out.
Oh, okay, perfect.
So if you're starting a podcast and never had one, do you interview yourself, or do you, how does that work? Do you encourage you to bring somebody else on to interview you, or how does that, what do you guys recommend in that situation?
Well, what kind of conversations are you having already in real life when you're networking? Are there any that might be beneficial for somebody else to hear?
True. I don't know. Like I said, I'm very new to podcasting. I don't know anything about it. Right?
What do you do?
Right. MSP. Provider, IT managed service provider.
Right on. So what can you tell me about that? Like, what is that?
So we supply IT services to small to medium-sized businesses in Las Vegas, specifically between 2 and 99 employees are kind of our sweet spot. And basically, we take all your services at one time, and we're your help desk arm, right?
Right.
Instead of hiring a full-time IT person, we are that person you call, and if we can't figure it out on the phone, we'll dispatch a technician at your place.
How'd you get started?
Been in IT for 20 years on Strip, Las Vegas Strip. So.
That's awesome. So what we just did now is the conversation you could have. Those are the questions that you have people on, like you have a friend on, right? And you just talk about stuff like that, or you talk about current events that are in your space. That was organic. You didn't have to think.
Right.
You already know that. That's the whole purpose. When people start video podcasts, they get stuck trying to do something else other than what they know. Think of a current event in your space that is within the realm of your niche that can probably somehow come back to that. But that's the conversations you have. And if you have to do it yourself, monologue, we were just talking about this. You could do a monologue episode.
Okay.
You just talk to
There's
the camera.
no rules. Like really, it's up to you to discover what works for you, because what works for someone else or another podcast and their audience might be different with what your audience resonates with. But thank you guys so much. We don't want to take up too much more time because we want Karma to have all the time to share some more conversion strategies and branding. But if we have more time for Q&A at the end, please feel free to come find us and connect with us after. But thank you so much, Rachel, for this opportunity for us.
Thank you guys.
Thank you guys for being a great audience.
Appreciate it.
Go to the start here slide for me.
Which one? The timeline?
Yes, that one.
Okay.
When you said, that's perfect.
Okay, we'll leave it at
I'm going to pick you back up with it.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Good call. Thank you. Great call. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. I'm Karma Hunter. I have a marketing consultancy and agency, Karma DNA. I'm going to talk to you about brand strategy. And this is a great point that Sunshine talked to you about. And she said, start here at idea conception. I also work with Rachel at SBDC at UNLV as a business advisor as well. So, she talked about start here. And this is why we start here. I'm going to talk to you about brand strategy. So before content strategy starts, we want to start with brand strategy, right? And why we want to start with content is also going to help you with your brand strategy. And when you asked about how do we start with podcast, I'm going to give you a couple of tips about that. So what I call use other people's audiences, right? Maybe a good place could be you becoming a guest speaker at another podcast that is related to your space. Could be the best place. Now, putting out content is a good idea to understand your audience's pain points. And their maybe misconceptions, their objections about your space, so that you can build your brand strategy. One of the things we see when it comes to brand strategy is one of the most important things is your messaging when you start your brand strategy. And one of the biggest mistakes we're seeing is, let's say you are developing a SaaS product, right, for small businesses. The messaging we see is, we help streamline small businesses' operations. This is the messaging, right? We hear this all the time. We help small businesses streamline their operations. Do you understand what we do? This is pretty much what you hear with a lot of the SaaS products. But they do lots of different things. When you hear streamline your operations for small businesses, you don't really understand what they exactly do. So that's why it's very important that you start with understanding your audience's pain points, understanding their language and how they verbalize their pain points and their objections, and what what they really need so that you can use that language in your messaging. Because once you say streamline your operations, that's what every SaaS product does. And when you can't really sell your product because the business owner is going to be like, okay, streamline which part of my operation, right? This is kind of like a life coach telling you, I'm going to have you live your best life. Well, did we all hire a life coach and pay them $10,000 just because they promised our best life? Not really, right? That didn't sell. So that's why you can't really sell streamlining your operations to every business. And this is the reason why you want to start putting content out before you're developing and before you're launching your product so that you can understand your audience's pain points. You want to start talking about your IT business, right, in your content so that you can get feedback from your audience. Maybe you want to, you're going to start getting feedback from specific companies, specific industries. And you do want to narrow down your audience. You don't want to just say, oh, I am selling IT services to every small business. You don't want to really say that, right? You want to narrow down that audience. Let's say you're going to be talking about your services in your content and you realize you're going to start getting a specific industry more interested about a specific service in your area, right? You're going to start getting specific questions more and more, and you understand that, oh, this is the service I'm going to be, talking more about or selling more in my sales enablement. This is the one I'm going to be highlighting more for this industry. And that's how you're going to be approaching that industry later on. And that's how you're going to be, maybe you're going to be putting this on your website more. You're going to be telling you're going to start telling your salespeople, right, this is how you're going to be approaching this industry. And then later on in your content, this is going to improve and you're going to start segmenting your leads, and you will know with this industry, I'm going to start offering this service first. With the other sector, I'm going to start offering this one first. That's how I'm going to approach them, right? So that's going to start becoming more clear in your brand strategy, right? Now, podcast, when you first start, may be a long game. You may start with short videos at first. Somebody asked about that, short videos, because that's going to you'll get more visibility and reach at first, more and more engagement maybe, and you can start the podcast and you can cut those and short form videos, and there's more channels for you, more marketing channels. But like she said, you want to start here. Also, you want to start generating leads before you develop and before you launch your product. Because if you don't have leads, how are you launching? Are you launching in the air, right? You want to have some leads. You want to have people interested. You want to create that buzz and have people waiting for that launch so that you're actually launching to people who are interested about your product. Do you have a question? Oh, okay, sorry. So how can we generate leads before we have a product or a service? This is a question I get a lot. What we can do is we can create maybe a digital product, maybe a valuable piece of content that our audience is looking for. This valuable piece of content can offer them a small solution for their problem so that they're signing up and getting this piece of content from us. That way we have their email addresses, now we have maybe their phone number, so that we can, when we're launching our product, we can now email them and say, hey, now we are launching our product, come and join us for our launch. And now they know that we are launching this product, because now you know that they're interested about this solution which is aligned with our product, right? These are the people who are looking for a solution that is relevant to our product or service that we're launching. Because we don't want any and everybody, right? We want those people who are interested about that solution because we know that they have that problem. So that's why it's very important that we want to start talking. We want to start creating that buzz. We're putting content out before we completed our product or service development. And that's validation for us too, right? Sometimes we have entrepreneurs created this product, completed already, but they haven't validated. They haven't done that social listening. And now they're sitting with that product. They launched it already, and they realize that nobody's buying it. And that's all for me. Any questions? Thank you. Questions? No questions? Okay.
Actually, okay. So, could you summarize the difference between content strategy and brand strategy?
So brand strategy is your messaging, your mission, your vision, your voice, your target audience, who you're targeting, your niche. That's your brand strategy. Content strategy is your basically at what stage of your whatever stage you are, depending on what stage you are, what type of content you're putting out for what marketing channel. And during Techstars, I'm with the marketing team of Techstars. Josh made an announcement, I believe. Techstars is coming up in October. I'm going to have a workshop about at what stage of your product, how you can market and how you can have, what type of content strategy and marketing strategy you're supposed to have. Because it seems to be that sometimes we put the carriage before the horse, right? So I'm gonna talk about what stage, what strategy, and how we can align our marketing strategy and our content strategy at that stage.
So if your brand strategy kind of dictates what your content strategy is?
Exactly, yes, because we want to have our messaging and our target audience aligned with our content strategy, definitely.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, you said something about consider using smaller length videos, right? I don't know if this is true or still true, but I've heard that the stories on YouTube are like distributed by the algorithm differently than normal small videos.
Well, now YouTube has shorts too.
That's what I mean.
Yes.
Yes, they're shorts. I mean, they can be transferable to Instagram as a reel. Or
Yes. Yeah, shorts act just like reels.
Yeah.
So they have a better reach and visibility, definitely.
Can I add to that?
Please.
So also with Chris mentioning that YouTube is owned by Google,
Yes.
it used to be that when TikTok was kind of like at its peak and hitting its rise, that there was a point where Google was actually indexing TikTok videos and it was coming up in search results. But since they launched Shorts, you might notice that you're actually getting YouTube Shorts in your Google search results. So that's all another reason that you want to also take every opportunity to repurpose whatever content you have.
Yes.
Long form, short form, or vice versa.
Exactly, and it helps with your SEO as well.
Yes.
Any other questions? Yes.
You mentioned, you didn't use the word lead magnets, but as far as samples that we could use before we actually put out content, like what can you provide like some examples of what those could be for businesses starting to get out there?
So,
For example, you were saying.
right. So when we said give a valuable piece of free content, we said lead magnets. You can give maybe a PDF, a checklist, a free ebook, or if you have like a SaaS product, you can give a free trial. But if it's not developed, of course, you can do, like I said, a checklist, PDF, ebook, sort of. Those are all digital products, something digital you can do. Any other questions? All right. Well, yes.
So, obviously TikTok's a big thing too, and To me, it seems like people can go viral quicker on TikTok, but at the same time, Yahoo seems to, I mean, YouTube seems to be more of search and keyword. Like, I don't feel like many people are really searching on TikTok. So I guess I'm just kind of wondering, how do you mix the two, and like, where should the focus be?
It depends on the audience. TikTok is becoming like a search engine now. People want to look at short form videos when they search, so it does have an SEO aspect now. YouTube is more like a search engine, and there's a different audience for YouTube, so it all depends on the audience you want to go after. But I would definitely recommend using YouTube because of the SEO aspect. And then repurpose it to YouTube, TikTok. And because you can do, like Sunshine was saying, you can do a long form video and then cut it to short form, put it on YouTube Shorts, and then put it on TikTok, put it on Instagram Reels, which is gonna be Facebook Reels as well. So you can have kind of like an omni-channel marketing that way, with multiple channels.
Are there any hazards to avoid, any penalties for doing things, too greedy or something, too many keywords or too many offers, or anything in YouTube that we should avoid?
Too many keywords, not necessarily. You don't want to use the same keywords for multiple videos because they're going to be competing with each other. But other than that, you can maybe add on.
Yeah, I don't think there's too much, but yeah, if it's like repetitive, if you're putting in each video, like, let's just say the best coffee, and you're putting that in every one, that's not even working in today. It could be like, if you do like a whole 30 days of coffee machines or something, just do like 10 different titles of that, and then you could like spam it. So if it's like how to make coffee with, how to make pour over coffee, best pour over methods, how do I even start a pour over, what is a pour over coffee, like you can spam it like that because that's the search engine. You're creating all those different searchable topics and putting it into that one video, and then when you do another one, you can do the same thing. Some might clash over, but generally it's a bunch of options, so it's usually good to do that.
If I can add on to that, also when it comes to YouTube specifically, it's not as much about the keywords that you're putting in, but the relevance of your video from what the algorithm can assess to what users are searching, at least when you're talking about search. So you gotta remember that YouTube is a business, and if the product is free, what is it? You're the product, right? So their goal is to keep us on, or viewers on, as long as possible live, so that way they can see more ads, so they can generate more ad revenue. So the way that they're going to do that is to make sure that they're serving up the most relevant content that a viewer is most likely to watch and most likely to spend more time on, and then more time on the next video, So it's become very, very intricate and elaborate with understanding each individual and what they like. So it's not as much about the keyword and more about the relevancy to the viewer.
How about adding any perks on that where you can take the audio and convert it to text? Is that automatic? Do you set that up? Do you prefer that? Is that preferred? Where, closed caption runs along.
Oh, yeah. So, and Chris, if you have anything to add on to this, it is recommended that if you are putting something on YouTube, say as many of your keywords as you can. And this is why it's very important, to Karma's point, to understand your target audience, so you can understand their behaviors, their psychographics, what they're thinking, what they're searching, so you can be saying those answers in your content, so when the algorithm assesses it or evaluates the content, they will understand what the video is about and if it's relevant. Google works in a very similar way, right, when it comes to ranking pages, like based off of relevancy and quality as well. So if that's what you're asking, like saying your keywords, or
I think he was mentioning like text on the video, and normally here I'll go up here so you're not cranking that. So there's like a study, I have to find out exactly where like the source of this is, but it's known that videos with captions retain audience a lot longer, and also captures their attention a lot longer, because how many times have you seen a video and you're not, because you know how YouTube automatically plays stuff? So I do that a lot, and I sometimes see the title first, the subtitles, and looking at that, I'm already watching the video before I even click on it. So like that's sometimes very important, at least for the first 15 seconds. So, and then have that part be like the hook and stuff. So when you're adding in those texts to there, you can get it for free done by like different editing programs like CapCut, Descript, and all the other ones. They have a whole bunch of cool tools now, and it's as good as dragging, dropping it, but you have to put the whole video. But sometimes those with text, it does help because it helps the user who's about to click on it already see what the content's about, because they're not going to hit the speaker volume and then listen to it and then waste their time and then go to the next one if it's not giving them value. They're like, oh, okay, oh, it's being said, oh, that's what it's saying, okay. Then they click on it. So text is usually very good to start off with.
Yeah.
Is that what you're asking? Sorry, I want to make sure you answered your question.
So my question is kind of feedback on this. So obviously, like your title, your description, the text you're using, right, is going to be picked up at a search engine, right? With transcription, do you know, like if you have a Zoom or Microsoft Teams meeting, you can get a transcript of everything everyone said, right? If you have transcription on a video, do you know, does the search engine pick up on the text and that transcription the way it would in a title or description?
So YouTube has an automatic caption function already. Yes. So it definitely helps to, that's why when she mentioned, like, it's good to say your words. So if I'm doing a video, I'm just referring to coffee because I'm a coffee nut. If I'm talking about coffee and a specific coffee, yeah, I don't have to really add any tags or anything in my description, because the videos are already picking up the information, and the algorithm's gonna run with that. So if I just talk about coffee, and each one of the titles, coffee part 1, coffee part 2, now titles still very important to use and utilize, but the words in your video do matter. Because if you don't talk about coffee, but you name your thing coffee, then you're not talking about it.
It's going to be like, that's a mismatch, and like,
And it's not going to follow it.
Karma's point, or like to where Karma's expertise lies in conversion, where the text and the title and the thumbnail, that's important in capturing your audience and convincing them to click on your video in the first place. Because you could have the most relevant video to the search term ever, but if nobody is clicking on it because they don't think it suits them, or they're not, you know, it's like basically you're needing to convert them with your text and your thumbnail.
You have to appeal to people and the algorithm.
Exactly. Ooh, yep.
The algorithm, by the way, just one last thing I do see your hand. I don't know if this is a full Q&A, by the way. I feel bad. I don't think
No, please.
So, just one last thing too is, like, algorithm is something that we all understand, and it's like, we go crazy over, like, what's the algorithm, what's the algorithm? There's something that's probably corny, but the algorithm is just the audience.
Yeah.
There's nothing else you gotta overthink. If you know your audience, that's the algorithm.
Yes.
So if I'm doing videos, coffee, right? YouTube's gonna push my stuff, all the coffee lovers, roasters, baristas, everything, like everything coffee, that's my audience, that's my algorithm. If you do coffee, and then your next video is like, how I built a bird nest, how I can, you know, pop a wheelie on my scooter, how I can build Tesla, like take it down and build it back up, whatever, like, you're confusing the algorithm audience because that's not who you're reaching. If you stick with who you're reaching, that's it. That's the algorithm. It's your audience. It's not anything else.
Just to plug in something off of that, if you go to my Instagram, The Real Karma Hunter, on my bio, I have a free course, algorithm-free content strategy. So you can go to that. It has actually a few courses back-to-back that you can do. And that's really a great course that will help you.